Hello, Dex Gelfand. It's June 18th, 2024. I speak about my work as a spiritual counselor, what I call therapeutic spiritual counseling, and always learning more, always evolving. I'm really very good at helping a person resolve whatever is disturbing them and accomplishing whatever change they want or need to accomplish. Feel better, be better, and largely this revolves around processing away unwanted feelings and resolving the ways of being we resolve to be, to try to protect ourselves from what we don't want to experience and what we don't want to feel. And for many years now, I've been applying what I've learned and talking about what I call stubbornly held protective attitudes, where we decide we're going to be a certain way to be dismissive of and not allow for having to engage with something or experience something that we feel is more than we can bear. Feelings we don't want to experience. Among other things that we take up, maybe the primary technique being used is spiritual digestion. We allow ourselves to relax, be effortless, and have whatever feelings are there within us that we've been trying to avoid or not feel or that are disturbing us. And just let them actually be experienced, let them digest within us, and then they're no longer present. I've done many videos about this, appropriately calling it an amazing technique, which it is. And recently, I've taken a deeper look at these, what I've called stubbornly held protective attitudes. We all have adopted so many of these. I've spoken about how, like, the essential stubbornly held protective attitude is, I am going to distance myself and not be fully internally, emotionally accessible and available so that somebody can't make me feel a terrible rejection and unacceptance. I'm not going to intimately connect. I'm not going to allow for that. I'm going to hold in place an attitude of dismissiveness towards that. And actually, as all of these stubbornly held protective attitudes do, it accomplishes exactly what it's intended to prevent. And it isolates us even more, causing us to feel more unaccepted, more alone, more like no one will intimately accept and connect with us, because we're in fact creating it and holding it in place. And I do have a wonderful technique that allows a person to feel the feelings they've been trying not to feel, and thus not be afraid of them, and evaluate what holding these attitudes in place has really caused in our lives, which is detrimental and negative. And when you look at it and examine it and then see how it seems now, it just seems silly and unhelpful, and then we can let it go. And we can enjoy being present and connecting with and having that which is around us without being afraid of it, being happy in our own skin, in our own place, wherever we may be. And recently, I've realized there's a better terminology to use than stubbornly held protective attitude. Now I'm calling this a resolutely held protective attitude, because we do resolutely hold it. We very firmly decide to hold an attitude of, I'm not going there, I'm not going to address this kind of person I don't need in my life, blah, 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 on and on. I'm going to be above connecting with people emotionally because I don't need that, and all those kind of things that we take on, which really hurt us and isolate us and leave us feeling exactly what we don't want to feel. Resolutely held protective attitude rather than stubbornly held, because stubbornly has sort of a negative, disparaging connotation to it. Not that it isn't correct. It is stubbornly held, but resolutely held, I think, more aptly describes we're putting like a force. We're putting resolve into ways of being to try to protect ourselves from things we actually need to feel and digest so that they won't disturb us anymore. But we're afraid we'll never be done with them if we do that, and they will do us in, and that's incorrect. That's why using my spiritual digestion technique can be so amazing, because until you fully digest a feeling, you have the fear that it will never go away. And it will never go away as long as you're putting resistance into experiencing it. Resistance is what holds things in place. And a resolutely held protective attitude really is just that. Another thing I've come to understand recently, I'm supremely confident that I can help you with whatever is disturbing you, whatever you'd like to be rid of, however you'd like to change. Because I really can, and I do, and I'm doing it every day. I have hundreds of clients who have happily noticed that, expressed that, thanked me for that, and expressed how surprised and grateful they are that it was accomplishable. And it wasn't as difficult, as challenging as they'd been projecting it would be. See, part of resistance is projecting something to be more than we can bear, projecting that it will overwhelm us. That in itself is a form of resistance. You need to stop doing that about a lot of things. I can help you with that. But in a deeper sense, what I've realized is another thing that we do is we take on what you could call identities, personas, a self, a sort of synthetic, a taken on self. It's like taking a face out of your closet and wearing it for the day, or for particular circumstances, and encountering certain situations or types of people, ways of being. And when we talk about a persona or a self, an artificial self, there are many terms for this. In some practices, they call it a valence, but it's an identity. It's a me that's not really who you are, that you decide you're going to project yourself as being. And it really imprisons you, and you get stuck with it. And you are not being at your best. You're not your best version of yourself when you're being a particular created characterization of self. Your best version of yourself is simply happy and present and fluid with the environment, and very willing to experience, curious, and sort of eager to have where you are, what's going on around you, and where you will be. And all the me's you take on to be interesting or safe or admired, these actually are substantially less than the whole of you, when you can actually allow yourself to be present rather than taking on a concocted presence. Much better off. So I do have techniques to resolve all the me's, all the selves that you find yourself entrapped in being, that restrain and prevent the real you from being present, having yourself and having life. But this relates to resolutely held protective attitudes, because where there is a chronic self, a me that is not you, that keeps presenting, there is behind that within you. You've resolved something. You have a resolutely held protective attitude that says, this is how I need to be. This is what I need to be. And part of resolving that self, that false identity that is so much less than who you are, but is entrapping you at this time, is processing away, resolving, sort of reverse engineering, and removing the attitude you have that says, to protect myself, I need to hold this me in place. and there's fears in place behind that it's an attempt to hold off. So the technique I have for resolving resolutely held protective attitudes is always going to be part of the toolbox we're going to use to resolve all your selves, all your me's, the fearful self, the self that seeks sympathy or pity, the self that demands respect or makes other people uncomfortable or whatever. Behind that is an attitude you've taken on that says, I need this protects me, without this, I'd be subject to unacceptance, embarrassment and humiliation, my God. They are the most intense feelings that we really don't want to feel. And most people don't even bring them up in whatever type of processing or therapy they take on. But God, there's a lot of relief on the other side of processing those things. And so it's really vital to take on your resolutely held protective attitudes. You resolve to be a certain way. You resolve to take on an attitude to prevent being exposed to something that will bring out fears and feelings that you project you just can't bear to have. But again, projecting that is a form of resistance, and thereby holding things you don't want to feel in place. So I've got all the tools for that. And the main thing I wanted to get across in this video is a newer, bigger understanding of the place that resolutely held protective attitudes holds in constraining us, in holding on to things that we don't want to experience. Where there is an unchanging, trapping, undesirable situation or condition, there is a resolutely held protective attitude. Another thing I know to be true, and knowing this has helped hundreds of clients of mine to resolve things, is behind every I can't is an I won't. And the I won't is a resolutely held protective attitude. And behind the I won't is a fear of something. And that fear itself is processable. It's digestible. And then you don't have to do anything to try to prevent yourself from feeling it, because you allow it to be felt through the spiritual digestion technique. You can wipe away all this programming, all this machinery you got going, and breathe. And I'm available to train those who would like to do this kind of work, or have been doing something along this line, would like to learn this. I'm here and I'm accessible and available to help you in sessions with me to see how you can overcome all of these things. If you come to me, and when someone comes to me and saying, can you help me with this? I have this issue, this problem, this situation, this thing holding me down or holding me back, I can say with perfect confidence, absolutely yes, I can. I can, and if you want to, we will. Yes, we will. I cannot predict how many resolutely held protective attitudes, the nature of all of them, will come up to be addressed and resolved. These selves and me's we've taken on various feelings of fear, shock, and anxiety that we can take on, peeling away the onion, peeling away the levels to greater and greater feelings of peace, calmness, relaxation, peace of mind, comfort with presence of self and others. Because, presence isn't about imposing your attitude on others or your state of mind on others. Presence is having all that is present, all of us, everything, and welcoming being a part of this whole. You feel more whole when you can welcome and invite all, others, places, and people. Have them all without feeling a fear and a need to come up with some defensive posture to protect yourself. When you can accept and have, you will feel whole to the degree that you can accept and have. And you will be happy in your life. Whatever it is you'd like to be, whatever it is you'd like to accomplish, the beautiful life you'd like to have, however you may envision that, yes, you can. I can help you with that. And you will discover that one thing that we will find more than once and more than twice and completely take apart to your great relief and expansion of self and wholeness is resolutely held protective attitudes. Hope you enjoyed this video. My website is dexsessions.com, DEXSESSIONS.com. There's a contact page there so you can reach me, and let's have some fun. You will find working with me in a session that it's actually never work. It's never work. You stay effortless and relaxed and allow what is in you to be present within you, have it expressed through you. It really is a very good feeling, as my clients tell me in each and every session. So welcome aboard. I'm ready when you are.